What's up, everyone? How is everyone tonight? Living the dream? Just gonna add a whole bunch of tickers to this list real quick. So just don't mind me. Just adding all the earning tickers in. I'll be done real quick. I'm pretty fast at this. Alright. There's a bunch we can start with. Alright, we also need... Oh, it's Starbuck. Need that. Wolf, BJ, P, that's Copart. Got that one. Okay, got that. Spell correctly. That's probably enough, right? What? Have to click on it. There we go. Got ourselves a nice little list to choose from for this week now. If you want this list, I will share this list. So you can import it yourself and follow along. And now... Tatum, Brandon, what's up? You guys watching this Chiefs-Broncos game? Should be a pretty decent game. Chiefs looking pretty good, though. Zenon, how you liking your UEC shares? You got at sub $3. What's that at now? Yeah. Yeah. Got those like right here. $3. Now they're 5.5. And you were saying, oh. I had a feeling you would like it. It's doing very well. Alright, should we just start top to bottom and we'll see, we'll make a little calendar and see which ones we like and which we don't like? So, we'll start and just go A to Z and see which we like and what we don't like. So some of these I'll have marked up just because I've gone through this previously, but this one we have marked. This one's going to have, why does it say today? Advanced Auto Parts should be, there's no way they can have it Monday night, right? Yeah, they have it Monday after close, so this date is wrong. So that's tomorrow after close. So let's look in this app in depth. Let's look in the daily. It's a good way to see what they've done on the day they had earnings, right? So that was this day right here. You can see it closed at 207.89 and then gapped up to 215. So we had about $8 move and then it sold off during the day. So it looks like it actually gapped down. Wait, no, hold on. So it gapped down a little and then went crazy all day, but then came back down. So if we go in the hourly here, we could probably get a little bit better in depth here. Alright, so earnings were here. Started out right here, so gapped down a little, and then went bonkers. So it gapped down to 206.50, and then went up to 214.70. So one that probably wasn't going to be worth swinging. Looks like this same one started like it gapped up, and then sold off. This one gapped down and then went bonkers after. So this is looking like one we may want to avoid. And it's going to be kind of pricey too, just based on what I'm seeing. So when you see stuff like this, that means that the initial reaction is not always the best reaction. So you'll see it sell off and then just get bought up right quick, right? So we're going to avoid this one and we're going to take it off the list. Don't like it. ACM. This is one that I've been following for quite a while and has a beautiful setup. This is one that we want to have on the list. This is Monday pre-market. Okay, so this is maybe one that we play as a day trade. So let's look into what's happened. So let's go Monday day trade list. Okay, so we like ACM because we're not going to be able to play this because we didn't swing it over the weekend. So you have a clear cup breakout retest, and then it's potentially could break out here. So we got nice RSI, allows us to gap up potentially. It's got a clear down channel, falling wedge into support. So if they have good earnings, and you can see their earnings have been going up, up, up. The only thing, it's a good thing we like, is when we see increasing EPS every quarter, and that they beat every quarter, is a good sign. I don't like that their beats have been getting skinnier, but overall I do like that increase. One thing I also don't like is their income looks like it's been going down, but this has one very strategic thing tomorrow that is like a double catalyst. So this is something we probably should have swung, because one, they have earnings, and two, they're one of the biggest beneficiaries from the infrastructure bill. So if you're not familiar with them, they engage in the design, build, and finance of operation of infrastructure assets for the government. What's going to be signed tomorrow and put into law? The infrastructure bill. So regardless of how they do on earnings, as long as they do decent and they open up under this blue line, we're going to play this breakout. So I'm actually just going to set an alert for myself on this. Do that right now. What's up, AA? Hopefully you've been banking on that BGFV call out because that was so good. But alright, so we like this one. Unfortunately, that's not really playable in terms of a gamble, but we do still like it in terms of, wow, I did totally miss this breakout. God, I even had a breakout level sketch. That would have been great. 135 to 157. Okay, that gives me... Yeah, you might be right with it being priced in. I was thinking we kind of get like a pop and then and all that, but we'll see. I still think it has an effect in my opinion. So, we'll see what happens. Alright, so what I'm starting to see here is a pattern, and we love patterns. Oops, what just happened? Alright. So what's happening here on AMAT? What do we like? What do we don't like, right? So what we like to see are gap ups. So we don't care about what it does intraday. If we're going to swing it, we're going to want the gap up. And we're seeing here is this was nothing. So the last earnings we had a gap up and sell off, but then a run. So we can play these always two ways. And then this one you had a gap. This one didn't do anything and then went up. This one was a gap up. Looks like we had a 113 to 120 and then it ran all the way to 124 before consolidating. This one ran from 70 to 74. Nice moves. This one ran from 65 to 70. So we're seeing some nice moves here. The one thing that concerns me on this, we do kind of have a bullish structure here, potentially a rising wedge. So because the chart doesn't, I mean, you have a, yeah, I mean, in terms of Elliott wave structure, you kind of have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So potentially we could gap up on this. We should keep it on watch at least. Could probably see this go to about 172 potentially. Let's take a look at their earnings. This is another one we always want to watch. So high price to cash flow earnings, but good EPS. Cash flow looks like they've been reinvesting, so their financing activities hasn't been great. Total assets to liabilities is great. Book value is okay. You can see quarterly their revenue has been exploding. And here's why I really like here's why I really like AMAT. If you're not familiar with AMAT, what they make is very specialized semiconductor equipment. So all the companies that make their own chips don't actually make the equipment to make those chips. So what they're actually buying is the equipment from AMAT. And what companies have just announced new factories? NVIDIA, MU, TSM, Apple, Intel. All of these are expanding and building way more chip production. What does that mean? Applied Materials orders are going to go through the roof. So they're already a $141 billion company, but their profits have been exploding. So I do think they can sustain a potential pop on here. So I do like that one. Make this part of the green list. Alright, Baba. Baba seems like one of the most obvious ones. They have their earnings, I believe, Thursday. Let me just confirm that here. Yep, Thursday or Wednesday night. So this one seems obvious. Always worries me. But they just set a new Singles Day record, which is like a big thing over in China. So they did crush sales. Their last earnings, this earnings hurt because they had to pay like a $3 billion fine. But other than that, they always beat earnings, and this was a one-off. So last earnings, they did gap up, but then sold off to the China FUD. So the fear, uncertainty, and doubt in China. I do finally think that BABA is getting to the point where it just can't go any lower, but you never know. I mean, I would like to see it gap up above this breakout line. So a nice gap up from 166 to 181 and have that clean daily breakout would be what I'd be looking for. I think it's possible BABA could run this week towards 173. We can actually check out what it's doing right now, and that'll give us a little more insight. So BABA is currently down 1%. So it's not doing much overseas right now. It's not too much cause for concern, but what we really care about is what it does into earnings, and then what we also care about is what the flow, options flow, is going to be. So if you see significant call flow going into their earnings, that's going to be something we want to pay attention to. But in terms of like finances and stuff like that, there's no reason for concern from income standpoint. Assets, liabilities, I mean, everything looks good there in terms of that end, but we do want to keep an eye out. So that is one we're going to want to put on the green list as well. Alright, B-Fly, this is just one that I just don't see. Oh, hold on, this is interesting. They did gap up on the last one. Let me pull the short interest on this here real quick. I believe this is a heavily shorted stock. Ah, 15%. Lose money. I don't know enough about them, so I'm just going to avoid it. Alright, Baidu. Yeah, I mean, if you want a long B-Fly, go for it, but I don't know enough about them, so. I know you guys have lots of stocks you want me to look at, but I'm literally going to go through my list tonight, so bear with me. If there's time after, then we'll talk. So, alright, so mainly what I'm looking for, yeah, I got, oh, Jumia, yep, Jumia's on the list. We'll look at Jumia. Mainly what I'm looking for is a pattern in earnings. When you see good chart setups, good fundamentals, increasing revenue, but the chart lags behind the revenue and everything, it's always a good sign. And when you see a history of gap ups or at least positive moves on earnings, also a good sign. Not a good sign on Baidu, if I'm being honest with you. Doesn't, one, looks like it doesn't want to move, or two, doesn't go up. So we're gonna, I do like the chart. I just don't know. Baidu's kind of in like one of those weird things where they should be double the price. So, I mean, they have more assets than they have market cap. Always interesting. So, I will put this on the green list. I want to watch it and see what it does. Billy, again, looks a lot like these other stocks. So Billy has a lot of volume shelf here, so we're going to see a lot of resistance here. So this is either going to gap up to 108 or it's probably going to gap down to 64. Now let's look into the financials and see what we can see. In terms of revenue, good. In terms of cash flow, bad. So they keep burning more money. The problem I have with China stocks is their financials are just so hard to look at because they don't give us everything that a U.S. American stocks are, and I don't know why that is. It's actually incredibly frustrating. No, I don't see anything in here that's, for me, like a sure thing. Like, I need a sure thing. Like, I need that perfect setup. I'm going to show you. I have some on this list that are perfect setup. I heard you guys all like BJs, so we're going to look into BJ right here. I'm just using TradingView right now. So, see how they do on their earnings. Alright, BJ's Wholesale Club. Nothing about their earnings gets me excited. I don't mind the chart. I do like the EPS is going up. I do like that their profit margin is going up. I like their price to earnings ratio. I mean, there's a lot to like on the fundamentals. I just don't like the history behind it. Like, you need big beats, and I don't think they're going to beat huge, so I'm just going to move on. Alright, CarMax. Right, this isn't CarMax. I want CarMax, not CareMax. Is it CareMax? Hold on a second. No, it is CMAX. Okay, my bad. They do nursing and healthcare. When do they go? CareMax. Doesn't matter. We don't care. Copart. I'm liking the earnings history. So, the aftermarket for vehicles parts has been absolutely bonkers since vehicles have been so expensive. People are opting to repair more than to buy new. But I don't love their last earnings. Before that was good. It just looks so tough to play this based on past. But let's go into the revenue and then let's look at the chart. I mean, quarterly, it looks like doesn't look like it's a straight. I love the ones that are like straight lines up like this. Balance sheet, great. Income statement could be topping out a little bit. Not much there. Assets 3.6. They're a little overpriced right now. It doesn't speak to me in a grand sense there. Love their last earnings. They went up what? 54 to 60? They look like they like to gap down though and then run. It looks like they're curling over in revenue. Gonna avoid that one. Canadian Solar. I put this one on here just because of how bullish solar has been. I could see... Yeah, we're gonna get to Lucid. I have a feeling we're gonna short Lucid, but... So what I noticed the last couple quarters on solar is they all sold off. But I have a feeling they're going to be making a huge comeback now. So I don't looks like their price to earnings was great, but isn't fantastic right now. So, yeah, but Lucid doesn't make any money, and so all it's going to depend on how many pre-orders they have, which I don't have a good inkling from, so we might stay away from it. So, Herein Solar. I could see them beating. Pretty sure all the other solar companies went bonkers on earnings. This looks like it gapped up recently from 36 to 40. I'm going to keep this one on watch. The only problem I have is I think this one, a lot of these are like all on the same day, the ones that I like. I think is funny. Canadian Solar. Actually, no, this one. Where are you? I thought I saw you. We're just trying to. Okay, this one is Thursday pre-market. So we do like this for a later week play, depending on if it runs up. Desktop model I looked into recently. They only. It's just like they only sell off. So I'm just. They make 3D printers. I just don't know. This one could be a post-earnings play, potentially. Foot Locker. There's Foot Locker. Friday before open. Huge gap up last time. Looks like sold off time before. This one likes to make moves on earnings, which is good. It does look like it's in a downtrend. Ooh, okay, this one could be interesting. Really good PE ratio. Balance sheet's good. Very undervalued. Holiday season coming up. Good net income even. I think this one could be sneaky. And look at that EPS straight up. And you got the holidays coming. You got a nice dividend. I like this one. We're going to put this on the green list. Right, Farfetch. I don't know what happened. They had to have had news. That scares me. So we're just going to move on. I think Farfetch had news. I can't remember. Do I have that on here? Farfetch in talks with Richmount for minority stake in Uke's Rent-A-Partner. What was the date? 12th. So potentially a small merger with Richmount. I would do it. Either way, they don't make money, and they're a $17 billion company. So if I were to play them, I'd be bearish, and that's un-American. So we're going to move on. Esports Entertainment. This sounds like a Thomas company. Gamble. Oh man, financials on this are just ugh, ugh. 8 million and they lost 4. How do you spend $17 million? All right, well that's good. The balance sheet's good. Looks like they raised a ton of cash. Yeah, they raised like $80 million the last 2 quarters. Okay. Yeah, they've raised a fuck ton of money. Okay. So not in any danger going out, but they need to figure out a way to monetize. So because of that, this one will be all about guidance. Won't have anything to do on whether they make money. It's going to be how do we make money in the future. And with that being said, low probability, moving on. Okay. This one very much interests me because of this huge flag it's making. So, HD, one of the darlings of post-COVID bills. I mean, it's like a small version of this, right? Where you just see the flag burst, and then this is the same thing, but it's condensed, right? So let's go into past earnings and look at the past, and then we'll go into financials. So gap down, 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 up. There we go. Wow, it doesn't really look good, does it? If it just goes down every time. Fire. You bearish on this fire cycle? Because, I mean, the chart looks great, but the earnings necessarily do not. Now I want to go into fundamentals and see if it can sustain a gap up or whatever. Alright, so how's the earnings? Like, PE ratio is good. I've been reinvesting, so that's good. Liabilities and, oh man, their debt to assets is terrible. They make good income though. I don't know, like, I love the chart. I hate the track record. Overall, I like HD. I think it's run a little hard. I'm a little worried it could curl over and back down to 340. I'm going to leave it alone. Don't love it. I already don't love this head and shoulders on this, but we're going to look into this. This has earnings on the 16th, so in 2 days. Let me look into earnings. Headhunters. What's it done on earnings in the past? Gap up. Nothing. Gap up. Nothing. Gap up. Nothing. So every other time it gaps up. Alright, so what did we do last time? Gap up. Nothing. Alright, so this looks like we're due for a possible gap down. Let's see the fundamentals. Okay, revenue's been increasing. Balance sheet is worrying. Cash flow statistics, what do they do? Oh, Headhunter, of course. They find operates through Russia and other segments for employee job seeking. Nope. No thank you. IDEX, don't even want to touch it. Intuit, this one we can get into. Intuit had this massive candle last time. Like, it's crazy. Like, so it gapped up from 554 all the way to 583 and then came all the way back down by the end. It just sold off the entire day right back to where it started and actually ended the day red. Imagine having crushing earnings and then just selling off. Alright, this one's going to be expensive to play, so if we choose to play this, we better be right. Nothing about this makes me want to play it. Alright, IQ. This one, so it's got like a double top and an inverse head and shoulders, right? So So unfortunately, like, so IQ's interesting. They probably report. I think they report the same day as Baidu, because they're owned by Baidu, or they are mostly owned by Baidu. So they've never made money. They just lose money. They're a cash cow. But Baidu's trying to turn them into Netflix, you know. So that's like the idea behind it. It's like a hybrid between Netflix and it's probably more like YouTube in China, but like they make $1 billion, but they also lose 200 million. So it's like, how did they become profitable? That's the question. Because they have to spend all this money on content, but they don't have enough. Like they gotta spend money on content to lure people, but it's not working. So like usually, here's what happens when you have. This is what I've noticed. So when you have these downtrends like this, and you have earnings, so they usually will gap up above the downtrend. So then that's like it just makes the whole move above the downtrend, and then it goes from there, or it gaps down to the bottom of the downtrend. So you're either looking at a possible move to like $10 or a possible move to like $5. It just depends if they say something about profitability. Past earnings say it's kind of hit or miss, right? Most of the time they go down. Almost every time, yeah, almost every time they go down, whether they beat or not, it's almost always bad. So I don't like it. It's not a sure thing for me. This one is one I can get behind. JD is one of the most bullish stocks in China. It's one of the only stocks that didn't sell off from the FUD this year in China. The crackdown and the Evergrande stuff. It's like the only one that's held up, in my opinion. And so it's interesting for me because last time they gapped from 66 and on that day ran to about 75. So almost a $10 move. They're sitting at a massive gap right here. They also have a gap up to 105. Their financials are great. I know they've always, like, every quarter they've gone up, 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 up. They're profitable. They have a good PE ratio. This is definitely going on the green list for a possible play because if China reverses, this thing could go nuts this week. And we're going to watch China all week this week because if it starts to roll in, wow, Chiefs are destroying the Raiders. Anyways, if it starts to roll in that China stocks are starting to beat, we'll know that probably by Tuesday. And JD, I believe, is Thursday. Yeah, we're definitely going to know by Wednesday night if China stocks are beaten and gapping up. And if we start to see a pattern, we're going to want to play calls on this because this could go dummy. Like this could go 10, 20 bucks. So green list, it stays. This is one. So interesting enough, like this earnings gap down and then went a bonkers. So this is something I started to notice with highly shorted stocks is, let me see where Jimmy is at right now. They may have all covered by now. This one used to be super shorted. And that's what this was before. This wasn't like people just investing. This was a short squeeze, 100%. From here, it just squeezed and squeezed and squeezed. Yeah, we're down to 9%. Don't see this squeezing much. If it does, it's not going to be a huge move anymore. They're not profitable. They don't make money. They're not increasing revenue. My opinion, they're probably going back down to like 5, 10 bucks. So, Kala. Not playing any penny stocks this week. There's just not enough room for earnings to make on options. Yeah, I agree there, Liberty Bell. Ding! Alright, Guliki and Safa Industries. This is very similar to AMAT. They make the machines that make the semiconductors. So, the nice thing about this is I believe they report Wednesday after hours. So, if they do good... Ooh, this is one we're going to want to play, 100% actually, looking at this. So here's why. Last time, they gapped up from 55 to 71, and now they came back down, filled the gap, and they're sitting right below the gap up this time. So I could see this definitely gapping up. They have a history of gapping up. They actually gapped down here, but they overall have a history of gapping up. 1 second. Alright, so this has a history of gapping up. It gapped up last time, especially with the like. Look at their EPS; just goes up every time. So, green list this goes. Very interested in all the semiconductor earnings this week. Only one I'm not like super bullish on is Nvidia. And so you want, like, then the next question always becomes, well, where can it go to, right? Well, usually it goes to volume shelves or fib extensions, depending on where it is in a chart. So for me, I could see it going to this red box, or I could see it going to this red box, right? So anywhere from 65 to 70, which could provide us, depending on what the options prices is, where we'll go from. We also want to look at RSI, see if there's a lot of room for a gap up or not, and go from there. So you want to look at open interest, you want to look at all those things. So, alright, so let's see here. I'm just going to look at the OI on this. I was looking at this for a while as something to go long on. Yeah, this is very bullish. Open interest on this, very bullish. So, yeah, green list this goes. Alright, Kohl's. Kohl's used to be heavily shorted after COVID. I believe most of the shorts covered. Let me just double check the data on that. Still 10%. Let's look at the history here since COVID started. Gap down, and then go ahead and bonkers. Gap up, gap down, gap up. Basically the same price it ran to after last earnings. Do have a... Ooh, okay, hold on. Interesting. Alright. Oh, that RSI has been dying. Oh, their profit margin sucked last quarter. Or last year. Makes sense. Liberty Bell. Shipping companies are my #1 play this week. Their earnings are going to be insane. And there's 2 of them this week that I really love in particular. So, oh, nice. I'll get into those. So, well, Kohl's really turned it around. I could see this one. I gotta look at how has other retail been doing on their earnings recently. That's gonna be what I need to look into. I could see this running this 63 off earnings right here, gapping up to the 63, right above this old gap. Yeah. I mean, Kohl's has been in the 80s before COVID. I'm gonna put this on the green list. I like it. Alright, so here's one that I have. Yeah, I think this is coming back down to 32 at least. Could be 100% wrong. This ran too hard, too fast. This is not a $71 billion company. This is a bubble we're living in EV. That being said, you know, it wouldn't surprise me if it went to 50, filled this gap first, and then sold off. So, it's just... Let me check the short interest on it. Alright, it's down to 8%, so it's not really shorted anymore. So at this point, people are just buying it. The short squeeze was right here from 26 to 42. Now it's just living on hope, and you can see the volume is dying. You can't really determine their last earnings because they were still a SPAC, or they really haven't done anything. Now their factories compete. They're taking pre-orders. They're starting to deliver cars. I don't know. I mean, they're a luxury EV maker. If I had to bet, I would put this on the red list. It's just a hunch, though. There's not enough data there. Hey, AA. The idea behind these, with the gambling aspect to it, is I'm trying to find ones that make the whole move overnight, and then I can get out at open or in the first hour or two. So, you know, you buy in an hour before close, or some point the day before. You play the run up. Maybe you take half your profit on the run up, and then you sell potentially the next morning after a gap up or a small run in the morning. You know, right? So the idea, the problem with holding through earnings is it's always going to be a gamble, because if it doesn't go huge one way or the other, then you're going to take a hit on IV crush, implied volatility crush. Because implied volatility says the stock's going to make a move on earnings. So if it doesn't, you get majorly fucked. And so you have to be right. Because if you are right, you can get rewarded for 500 to 200, 2,000% moves. So Automotive. That looks terrible. Nothing about this chart gets me excited. I don't know anything about it, so I'm just gonna pass. I'm sorry. Alright, let's go into lows. Well, you know, this is gonna be similar to HD. They got very similar setups, similar charts, similar everything. Man, if I had to say it, like they had this massive run last time. Look at this, 182 up to 203. If they'd like the gap down on earnings, God, this is going on the red list. There's no way people don't take profit and sell the news tomorrow. There's no way after this run the last month. The last 2 months it went from 201 to 240. It's up 20% in the last month and a half. So wait, is Bitcoin going nuts right now? Oh my. Wait, that's not right. Either way. Alright, Macy's. And Macy's is one that just keeps gapping up on earnings. You wonder how long the run can go for. And it's been getting squeezed lately. I do know that they rebuy Toys R Us. Quarterly wise, yeah, I mean, they're making a huge comeback. Their balance sheet is getting better. Whatever they've done the last year has really been a huge turnaround for them. It's been like this for a lot of retail. They got crushed during COVID, and now they're making a huge turnaround, and you just see a squeeze after squeeze after squeeze. And you just see this flag break, flag break, flag break, flag break, flag break. And you see a very similar setup to last time where you got a flag and break, and this time you had a flag and break. It might be worth playing. It's gonna make a move. It always makes a move, in my opinion, on earnings, especially the last couple. So if I had to guess, I mean, I would think green, I guess. I don't know enough about it. I'm starting to get into them. NetEase I already did. They kind of go back and forth, up, down, up, down, up. The chart tells me that this is 5 waves up, and the RSI tells me that it's done. So from a technical standpoint, I think it would go down to retest here. From a fundamental standpoint, I would think it would go up, but because I don't know, we're just going to move on. NVIDIA, man. I think this is a diamond top and this is coming down. I think we're finally going to see some profit taking. I could be 100% wrong. This could be a bull flag, but to me it looks like this was the last dish effort, and now people are just trying to claw to it. But short interest in Macy's is it is 10%. Alright, so if I was going to do this, I would put NVIDIA on the red list. It does seem like it. I mean, really the only one it went nuts off of was the last one. Right? Like, that's the only one. And it did go nuts, but like this tells me that it's priced in though. And like they haven't really done much to improve financials. Like, yes, Pan W is on the list. It's literally right here. Calm your tits. We're getting to it. Everyone wants to talk about Pan W. You guys hungry? You want to talk about frying pans? I'm not doing this one. Oatly. Oh my. Oat milk. Yeah, not doing that one either. Alright, let's go right into Pan W. How's that sound? God, this is $500. Oh, look at that gap up from last time. 370 to 440. Gap up, gap up. Gap down. Gap up. Down. Nothing. Down, down, up. No clear pattern. I will say they always beat earnings though. Every time they beat earnings. So that is a great sign. Great sign. They always beat earnings. Alright. So statistics wise, price to cash flow, they're investing back in the business. It's good. Price to assets bad. Book ratio good. Total revenue $1 billion. They lose $100 million, but they are losing less money. I guess is good. Hmm. PanW is a internet security company, so they do high-end security for other companies. I want to see how the flow goes in on this. Like, I don't have a good feeling, like, left or right on it. I want to see how the flow is on it going into earnings, and I want to see how it reacts into earnings. Like, for me, the biggest ones I love are going to be the shipping ones this week. I also love this stock. Pow! Ammo. I love this stock. I like that almost every time it's gapped up. Even if it sells off after, you can see it either has a run into earnings or goes bullish into earnings. And so I also like that their earnings have been exploding. Like, I could really see this going up like $1 or $2. So I really like that. I really like the cupping action on the chart. I could really see this going on earnings. So I really like this. We're going to add this to the green list. Palatine Technologies. Don't know why that's on the list. We're getting rid of it. Alright, Rail. This is pre-market tomorrow, so we don't care. Pre-market tomorrow. Alright, let's get into it. Shipping. Star Bulk Carriers Corp. Our first shipping company we're going to talk about. Second, and the other one is my favorite. So we may not play this one, but we'll most likely play the other one. I may just go right into the other one after this. So okay, for some reason, this one doesn't get the love that the other ones get. And it sold off 2 earnings ago. It sold off the last 2 earnings, but gapped up. Or did not. Sold off the last 3 earnings. Sold off the last 4 earnings. Not a good track history. So this would be mainly because we have, a hunch that they're going to do well. So, 10% dividend. Cash flow. Oh, they've been investing in new ships. That's why they haven't been doing good, which makes sense. I'm gonna play this one just because my hunch tells me they're gonna do well. Because shipping is so expensive right now, they have to be making just stupid amounts of money. And so if they raise the dividend or issue a special dividend, let me look into something on this. Alright, let's see. This is not the right ticker. What's SBLK? If this super shorted... Yeah, PanW has a lot going for it. Alright, this is not short. Okay, but regardless, it's got mini gaps. It's got gap here, gap here, gap here. So this is a reversal bottom, double bottom. I could see this reversing and going back to 23, and I'm assuming it's not going to be that expensive, so I'm going to add this to the green list. Alright. C Unlimited. I was looking at this earlier. It almost always gaps up, like every time. it goes green. Either it gaps up and goes red, or it just gaps up. And so this is one that interests me, even though like I think it's crazy overvalued. Like everything tells me to go long on it. So from a technology, or from that aspect, even from like a revenue aspect, like they look great. I know they're not profitable, but like in today's world, people just want to see increasing revenue and them to do better and issue better guidance, right? Their balance sheet is healthy, their book value is healthy. Tells me they can go up. I know the hedge funds love this stock too, so I personally will not play it, but I think it might be worth. We'll see. If I have an extra $1,000, I might throw it into it. But this one is like one of my favorites this week. It always goes bonkers on earnings every time, and I don't know why, but like people refuse to like. Alright, it's still 10% shorted. Like, they make money every time. And its PE ratio is super low. Gaps up every time and then sells off. Look, gap up, gap up, gap up, gap up. So, I will most likely be playing calls on this. Yeah. Alright. We're going to add this to this. I don't even need to get into that. I'm just going to play calls on that. Stone Company. What the mother of Jesus? Cap down. Nothing. Cap down. Nothing. What do they do? Caters to merchants and partners that conduct electronic commerce across e-stores. Oh, I thought they were going to be like building materials. I think it was Stone Company. You'd be building like stone for like houses and stuff. What a stupid name. How do they make more money than they have revenue? What? How do I trust these numbers when they look like that? Does it surprise you that they're headquartered out of the Cayman Islands? I don't know anything about this. I need to do more research. I think their earnings are later in the week, so I can do that. Like, I would have to dive into this one to make it make sense to me. They have earnings Tuesday after close, so no thank you. Alright, Target. I am very interested in Target. So, here's the thing. I'm going to cover Target and Walmart. I am not going to be bullish on Walmart. And here's what I'm hoping happens. So, Walmart reports Tuesday before market open, and Target reports Wednesday before market open. I hope Walmart numbers are terrible and it pulls Target down so we can get a good price entry, because I think Target numbers are going to be great and there's a reason for it. So Target has been amazing in terms of like online pickup and all that, and their stores, when I go there, have shit on the shelves. When I go to Walmart, half their shelves don't have stuff on them. That is a big red flag for me. So that means Walmart... Yeah, Walmart never... I've seen Walmart gap up once on earnings, so we're going to get into that. But Target almost always makes huge moves. And they at least are usually usually gap up moves, right? So you did see the last one as the only one to concern about. It did gap down and then close the day green. That would this would have lost money last time. So the one thing I do love though is this fucking amazing cup and handle we have going into earnings. So if this thing handles into earnings, I mean, this thing could easily run to 300 in my opinion. I'm going to go into the fundamentals, and I think the fundamentals support it too.